Vác is the old name of Canh Rạch village in Dân Hòa Commune, Thanh Oai District, Hanoi. The village boasts a traditional occupation of making bird cages. The main materials include bamboo and phyllo stakes. Old bamboo and phyllo stakes bodies are soaked into water and then sun-dried to make the splints. The material becomes more beautiful after each time of polishing and lasts for decades without being affected by wood borers. The beauty of bamboo combined with ancient brick walls creates a unique attraction of the village. Artisan Nguyễn Thanh Sư is the second out of 3 generations in a family engaged in making bird cages in Vác village. He said the founder of the craft in Vác village was his father. His name was Nguyễn Văn Nghi, often known as Ba Mi. To make a durable, luxurious and beautiful bird cage, an artisan has to be very meticulous and skillful. The production of a bird cage includes many steps, such as splitting splints, making the floor, brims, the door, the bridge, decoration, and assembly. The artisan also needs to be well aware of the shapes and living habits of different bird species.
Tất cả các lồng chim làm từ thời cổ đến nay, từ thời cha sinh mẹ đẻ, từ ngày mà các ông cụ là sinh ra đến bố tôi hoặc là ông tôi làm cái lồng chim đó thì đều là có một cái khuôn mẫu nhất định. Nhưng cái yếu tố để mình làm sao để cho mọi người nhận được cái đẹp, tức là cái tâm của mình đặt vào trong cái lồng đó để cho mọi người hiểu là khi cái tâm mình đã mang hết vào cái lồng rồi thì cái nét đẹp của nó sẽ tô hơn những cái mà mình không làm theo cái mức độ là mình đuổi theo cái đồng tiền hoặc đuổi theo cái gì đó. Mình làm đặt cái tâm vào cái tâm của mình vào cái lồng thì sau cái lồng nó sẽ nổi lên. Cái lồng nó có tâm có hồn thì là bao giờ nó cũng đẹp.
The sophisticated bird cages of the village are not only sold in the country, but also exported to various foreign markets, earning good profits for local households. Hello and welcome to Sharing Vietnam. The country and the people of Vietnam are increasingly attractive to foreigners with beautiful landscapes and traditional handicraft. In our program today, we'll have a conversation with Tim Barnsley, an Australian photographer who has been living and working in Vietnam for years. He will share with us his exploration of the beauty of Vietnam, including the traditional handicraft of making bird cages. Hello Tim, thank you so much for joining us today. First of all, could you share with us the reasons for you to come to Vietnam in the first place?
My wife and I were married in 1999 and we went to Laos for our honeymoon. We didn't have time to visit Vietnam at that stage, so after returning to Australia we had a baby in 2001 and in 2002 we first visited Vietnam.
And could you tell us more about your work in Vietnam as a photographer?
My background in photography is newspapers, so photojournalism. I'm currently working with the United Nations School in the marketing department, but my true love is working with people and covering news events. So last year I was lucky enough to cover the visit of the American President, President Obama, when he came to Hanoi. I've covered the New Zealand Prime Minister, former Prime Minister John Key when he visited, and different other news jobs as well. So yeah, my true love is news.
How do you relax and explore Vietnam when you are free from work?
Because I'm only working part-time, I have quite a lot of time to discover unique and interesting places in Hanoi. If my family are at school, my wife's working at school and the kids are still at school, I can do it on the scooter by myself, go for a long day ride or just maybe somewhere downtown, local markets, whatever else to take photos. And if it's the school holidays, we can go away as a family, travel to beautiful places. So yeah, there's lots to see here.
What impressed you about the landscape and the people of Vietnam in comparison with other places that you have been to?
I think the landscape is very diverse for such a small country geographically, because being an Australian, Australia is massive landmass and you have to travel a long, long way to visit, different areas. Whereas Vietnam, it's quite compact, really, a 1 hour flight and you're in central Vietnam, 2 hour flight, you're from top to bottom of the whole country. So I think the diversity is fascinating with the delta area down south with the wetlands to the beautiful beaches in central Vietnam, through to the mountains around Sapa and Lao Cai. There's lots to see. It's really good.
Khoan đi vào đây. Khi nào cần khoan hỏi cũng sửa cho anh này. Bây giờ mình sẽ giới thiệu cho các bạn làm một cái nan lồng chim. Ok. Bây giờ nếu mà làm cái lồng chim đẹp để làm một cái nan để chuẩn đây, bắt đầu từ mảnh trúc tre, tức là mình dùng con dao này, mình sẽ bổ như này, hiểu không? Bạn tính cự ly nó chuẩn nhá, được chưa?
Okay.
Đấy. Xong bạn sẽ căn cái độ chuẩn chính xác.
Okay.
Nhá. Xong bạn sẽ dùng con dao này, bạn vót. Vót như mình vót đây, được chưa? Sure. Bạn cứ nhìn kỹ vào, nghe không? Đây, tức là mình sẽ vót cái tầm độ để cho đủ gọi ấy. Tôi vặt xong rồi nhá.
Vâng.
Mình sẽ dùng cái nan này đưa vào cái mà. Mình sẽ vót xong rồi mình đưa cái mà này, mình dùng cái lực mình có thể mình giúp để kéo cái nan này nó để có một cái hình luôn.
Ok.
Bạn sờ vào xem nó có tròn không, nó có tròn như mặt trời không. Ok nha. Cái nan rất là tròn, nó qua một cái lỗ này, qua cái mà này nó rất tròn.
Yeah.
Nó sẽ tròn xe lên đây, sờ. Ok.
Sure.
Xong, tròn xe. Được.
Ok.
Đấy, bây giờ bạn làm thử đi cho mình xem. Ok.
I'll try it.
Đây, mời bạn.
Recently, you visited the village of Vác at the outskirts of Hanoi. How do you describe your feelings as such an old Vietnamese village?
It was nice to be a part of the smaller village for a day, because even though I was born and raised in Sydney in Australia, which is a very big city, I also spent time living in rural Australia or country Australia in a small village of maybe 500 people at some stages in my life. So it was fascinating to see the smaller areas of Vietnam rather than the bustle and the busyness of Hanoi.
Well, you had the opportunity to explore and take part in the making of traditional Vietnamese bird cages. So how do you compare those bird cages with those in Australia?
The bird cages in Australia are primarily made of steel, so because we don't have the bamboo as a natural product there. So I think the biggest difference is obviously from the manufacturing process, but also not many people have birds as pets in Australia. So that was something different that I hadn't really seen before here, with everyone having the birds, and it's much more interesting than what happens in Australia. Someone may have a parrot, which is a large bird back home, but in Vietnam it seems to be all sorts of birds for pets.
Did you face any challenge during the making of the bird cages, and how did you manage to overcome it?
The biggest challenge was the language barrier, because my Vietnamese is still not up to scratch. I can't have a conversation. I can shop, I can talk to the taxi driver with directions, very basic language. But if you can't have the conversation, it's a little bit hard when you're trying to learn something as involved as the birdcage was. So as good as the artisan was as a teacher, the missing thing for me was the language, which was my fault. He was a very good teacher, but it was hard to interact. I think the process was helped by him being such a good teacher. He was very patient with me, and so he took me through step by step. And as well as that, I think it's the same when I do my photography here. The language with people, if you can't speak the native language, it doesn't matter always. There's always a way to have a conversation or to get a solution to some sort of a problem. You always work it out through gesturing or interacting. Something can always be fixed. So yeah, we worked through it.
And how did you learn more about the people of Vietnam doing your work of making bird cages and interactions with the artisan at the village?
I probably learned one of their crafts, and as it's a very intricate craft and something that he was maybe been doing for 40 or 50 years. So I learned about the process of a traditional art form. But as far as the Vietnamese people are concerned, I already knew how wonderful and warm and welcoming they are. That's why we've stayed here for as long as we have, and that was something that was only reinforced by working with the artisan as well. Yeah.
And finally, what is your message for foreigners who are interested in exploring Vietnam?
I tell all my friends and family back in Australia or other friends we have around the world to please come and visit, not only to see us so we can show them the wonderful experience that we're having, but to also maybe travel on their own here and understand the culture a little bit more for themselves. There's so much to see. There's with the different minority groups all around Vietnam, the large busy cities which are forever changing with construction and development, the beautiful beaches, the countryside, the cities. There's a lot to do here, so I'd tell everyone to come along and have a look.
Well, Tim, once again, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing some very exciting information.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's all for our Sharing Vietnam today. Hopefully, more and more foreigners will have opportunities to explore the beautiful landscape of Vietnam and experience the making of local handicraft. Thank you so much for watching, and see you again next time.